2, 1, go.
Welcome back, folks. This is the Spillin It Podcast. I gotta remind you of that because it feels like it's been a while. My name is Ben. My co-host is Jesse. Jesse, we've been out of commission a little bit. We've had a lot of life going on, a lot of scheduling conflicts, but we're here, we're back, and honestly, I think we're better than ever. I think we're gonna have a great episode today.
I think so too. I moved to a different zip code here, still in the Orlando area, but loving the new place. I got to actually set up a nice room and a nice space for myself here to actually do this pod the way that I want to, instead of just kind of putting it together in the living room. And honestly, couldn't be happier. Got a new webcam, feeling good, feeling prosperous right now.
Yeah, and folks at home, Jesse and I actually have seen each other since the last time that we filmed a podcast. Naive Ben thought we would squeeze a podcast into a wedding weekend where we both played some key roles. So that was a little short-sighted on my part, but it was really good to chop it up with Jesse in person. And sorry that we didn't do an episode, but we had some bigger priorities that weekend.
So. Did, yeah. I knew I was going to be the photographer going into it, from the get-go. My sister-in-law getting married. Congratulations to Allison and Logan.
Shouts to Allison and Logan.
But Ben was called in from the bullpen to close it out. Ben, do you want to go ahead and give the folks a rundown of how you saved the day?
Yeah, it was crazy. I started hearing Cotton Eye Joe pump through the speakers, and I was like, all right, I guess they're calling my name. He said save the day. I just ended up the guy, luckily I don't remember the name of the venue, and I will not dox the city that it was in, because he wasn't a horrible dude, but he just sucked at his job. The guy at the wedding venue just all of a sudden was I can't DJ or announce anything. So I ended up announcing part of the wedding, just introducing dances and calling people to eat dinner. It's probably the only wedding people will ever be at where somebody's absolutely housing some potatoes at table 1 and then just picking up a mic and swallowing and being like, all right, tables 3 and 4, you may proceed to the buffet. It's a little more casual, but no, it was fun. I had a good time. Honestly, Jesse, this is such a bizarre, because we served 2 entirely different functions, but it reminded me a lot of, I feel like Jesse and I have probably talked about this this is our 22nd number of episodes, so it's probably our 25th episode total, or we're in the 20s, so I'm sure we've talked about it, but Jesse and I once PA announced a swimming meet in downtown Indy, and it was we were unprepared for parts of it, and super over-prepared for others, and it was just a lot of fun. And I'm trying to think, outside the podcast, that's probably one of the last times that you and I, worked together in that capacity.
Yeah.
So, it was nice. It was good. The boys are back. And now we're back on the podcast.
Yeah, that picture, the famous picture, Dwayne Wade throwing it up, and he's going like this, and LeBron's, throwing down a windmill jam behind him. That's the 2 of us. I'm trying to think what else.
Except for it's 2 LeBrons, for both dunking.
For both LeBron, yeah. Simultaneous dunk. Yeah.
I don't know, Mario Chalmers is on the rim. I don't know. Somebody's passing it.
Tim said we both did work. We did, man. I was sweating through every layer I had, but also, a June wedding. It's a little toasty.
It's a little toasty. June wedding in Florida, South Florida. It's a little toasty, but like we said, congrats to Allison and Logan. So happy to be there for their big day.
Yes, and thank you so much.
If they want to thank us, they can take out a sponsorship.
Honestly, yeah, they should. And we're taking sponsors. The phone's been off the chain. We're having to fight a bunch of them off at this point, so we're going to have to be really selective.
Letting the agents just handle it.
Yeah, we got our best.
As soon as LeBron signs, Rich Paul assures me that he's on our case.
We got Rich, okay. I'll take Rich Paul. More important matters, and no offense to Allie and Logan on this, but I need to have a shirt reveal for you here. I bought this shirt about a month and a half ago in anticipation of this podcast, and I've been waiting to pull this out. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to give you a guess as to what is on this shirt.
You want me to guess?
Yes.
So it's clearly one of 2 things. It is either our logo or a picture of us and our podcast logo, or it's Jordan Poole, and I'm sorry, there's no other choice other than those two options.
There's a third option.
That
is significantly better, and it is the I Heart Coles Cash shirt.
That's crazy. You could have given me 1,000 more guesses, Jesse. I wouldn't have gotten there. I love it though.
I have been waiting to pull this out for so long. But no, this was on clearance at Kohl's, and I said, the first thing I looked down, I was like, does that say I Heart Kohl's Cash? And Ashlyn goes, you gotta buy that for the podcast. Like, that's
so good. That's like, I've got a shirt that says I've got that, and then it's a picture of like the hot dog meal from Costco, and then it says "and me" below it.
Yo, that $1.50 hot dog.
If I had known we were wearing quirky shirts, I would have ditched the Jay Cutler jersey.
That's quirky enough, man. I mean, you got a Jay Cutler Broncos jersey in your possession. I
had a diabetic quarterback for my team. Like, it was the easiest add to cart an 11-year-old has ever made.
We gotta get Susan on the line and ask her what she's doing with the security codes on the credit card back then.
I think it was. I honestly have no memory truly of how I acquired the jersey, whether it was a gift or I purchased it. But somehow, maybe some more parental supervision could have been required.
Is that a Reebok jersey? The old Reebok days?
I think it is. Yeah, it's a Reebok
jersey.
Those
jerseys were it. Those jerseys were it.
Yeah, they're good.
They were affordable.
This is a medium. Yeah. I'm not like a beefy dude, but I've got like a longer torso, so I don't usually feel comfortable in a medium. Like, I have an Alabama football jersey that I've worn on this pod, and it's a medium, and it's like choking me like it's 11:30 at night in bed. And this jersey is the same size, but it's not nearly as restrictive.
All right, let's get into the actual episode here. 15 minutes in. Let's go over some headlines that we've missed, and just to preface, we are not going to be talking about the World Cup during the headline portion, so don't be freaking out and be like, these boys don't know anything about ball. We will get to the World Cup as a separate segment later on, but first and foremost, really, as much as it pains me to say it, the New York Knicks winning the NBA Finals this year honestly kind of wasn't a surprise once they got to those conference finals, and you saw just how terrible the Eastern Conference was, but one of the things that I have consistently said is that I have a really hard time with Knicks fans, but I love the city of New York. I've been there many times, and I just very much enjoy how that city feels when the sports teams are good, and it just looked like a magical time. And this was the first year in about 5 or 6 years that Ash and I did not go to New York, but your wife happened to be there on the night, and she's taken her choir through Times Square and whatnot, and I texted her, I was like, girl, you're in danger.
Well, you gotta get home. Thankfully, they were back at the hotel with plenty of time to spare, but I was like texting her some fourth quarter updates like, hey, if you're still out there, you shouldn't be. Because we watched that game together, Jesse.
We did.
We were actually sitting in our hotel room watching that, and I was like, I might become more available, Jesse. I don't know. We gotta check the shot in and make sure she gets out of there safe.
We're gonna be doing the pod every day.
What I think is important to take away from this, though, is that you now are locked into going to New York every single year for the rest of your life.
I guess so.
This doesn't happen again.
This is all my fault.
It sucks because, like, they're such a fun team, right? And I really wanted to be happy for them, but they're the Knicks, and I could not. So I have 2 friends that are pretty big Knicks fans, and I texted each of them, and I said, I'm happy for you and no one else, which is, I guess, kind of a lie, but, like, it's maybe more of a royal you, and that's it. And then I was like, damn, that's... Also, I mean, how do you not root for Wembanyama, and how do you not find the Spurs fun? But De'Aaron Fox must owe the mob money, so here we are.
I hope he does. I really hope he does at this point, because that's the only excuse he could have for that pathetic performance. He sold so many times and single-handedly sold a game. I remember you and I texted each other, like, what is he doing? What's he doing? Why is he taking that shot? Just absolute madness. And, they got to learn from that. But it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, they'll be back, right? They'll make it back. That's not a guarantee, right?
Correct.
And as a Pacers fan, I am painfully aware of that reality and how tough it can be to make that climb back, right? That could have been our only shot. I like to say our championship window is open. I do believe that it is, and I'm going to go in with those expectations, and anything else besides that is going to be a disappointment. But in reality, it is a very distinct possibility, and actually the probability that we're not going to be back, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got a 1 in 15 chance, and that's even, like, not accurate. There's just 1 of 15 teams will represent the East. It's not it's not guaranteed. And, there's been tons of teams. Think about the Thunder when they had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. Everybody was like, this is the first of many. That was their only one.
Yep.
They never went back as that group. There's tons of history is littered with teams in both basketball and in all sports of teams that looked like they were on the cusp of greatness and just couldn't get back. And often it's not always because they fell apart. It's hard to get there.
It is.
When you think about the luck and the skill that you need to advance that far in your season, it's truly just, you never know. Nothing is guaranteed, and you like Wemby's chances. He's so young, and so much of that core is young. But they're going to get more expensive. We're already seeing the Thunder having to make some moves on the margins to make sure that they can afford the key players on their roster, and we'll see how that impacts them. There is so insanely deep that they'll probably still be fine this year, but it's only going to get more expensive. And I guess if there's one other thing we learned from the NBA Finals, Jesse, it's we do know now what the fox says, and it's.
And on the flip side of that, again, coming from Pacers fans, we talk about the Knicks. We don't like them. We don't like them. We're not going to pretend like we don't. But I have to give them their flowers because this was their window, right? When you consider the rest of the Eastern Conference is starting to rebuild. This was an off year for the Celtics. This was an off year for the Pacers. And Giannis going to Miami. With all that being considered, this was their best chance, and everyone said that going into it, that this has to be the year that they make it happen, and credit to them. They did make it happen, and they dominated in the playoffs. That was one of the best playoff runs I've seen in any sport anywhere, and probably the best one I've seen in the NBA.
And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, they played nobody, because when you dominate to that degree, I believe they would have probably won against any of the other Eastern Conference teams. They did get to, but more to your point about this is their window. They played Atlanta, they played Philly, they played a shell of a Cleveland team, and then they played a young Spurs team who was very good, but like we've talked about already, really just struggled in clutch time. And the Spurs led almost 70% of that series and lost 4-1. And credit to the Knicks, they played the games in front of them and won. They were not the most challenging, but when you win 11 straight games and you have the largest point differential, or one of them, in NBA history in the playoffs, it don't much matter who you played. But when you're just blasting teams, that's enough. It was a deserved championship for them. I would have liked to have. I don't know that it will be that clear for them in the future, or for anybody necessarily. But it don't matter, at the end of the day, you win the title, it does not matter how you do it. All that matters is that final result.
All right, next up on our headlines that we missed, MLB. MLB is going to be heading towards a lockout. I don't really see a way out of this, and they keep kicking the rock down the road, right? And we have talked about the different leagues and potential lockouts, and by some miracle, the WNBA season started on time. But with that being said, this has been a consistent issue for baseball in an era where they really can't be affording to do this kind of stuff. And I put in our notes here that the biggest sign to me that we are heading to a lockout is the new draft rule proposal, which bans high schoolers from the domestic draft. And that is a massive change.
I was looking this up before the pod, and I wanted to make sure we had the same one. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, and that is a massive, massive shift, and it's shortening the draft from 20 to 12 rounds. And to me, it's going to change a lot of things. Because with the NIL being the way that it is, if you cannot be drafted out of high school, there's going to be a ridiculous amount of money being poured into college baseball. Which, if you're a college baseball fan, that's awesome, right? That's a good thing. You should kind of want more of those guys going in that direction. However, Are we going to be doing the one and done situation where it turns into college basketball? And it just there's an imposing that I feel like Major League Baseball is trying to kind of force their hand in a way that has never been done before, between salary caps and new draft proposals. And I just don't think it's going to end well for either side in this situation.
Yeah, excuse me, the new draft proposals are kind of nuts. Not only can you not go from high school to the pros, but you have to spend 2 years in college.
Yeah.
Baseball is a very, very different sport developmentally
Completely.
than any other league. In the NBA, you see, you may have some guys go to the G League and get some seasoning. That's not atypical these days, even for first-round picks. But in general, your top picks and your first-rounders, they're going to play significant NBA minutes in their first season. And if they do spend time in the G League and they're top prospects, within by the end of their second season, you would expect them to be an NBA regular. NFL, there is no developmental league. You either are playing or your ass is grass.
Right.
So, we don't see that there. And baseball is just so different because the speed and the mental parts of the speed of the game, the mental parts, just adjusting your swing, going back from the metal bats to wood bats. There's so much to it. Field dimensions, even so much to it that is different, and it takes an adjustment period. And the draft already has rapidly shrank from 40 rounds to 20. The 20 we have now has only been in place for a couple of years.
Right.
It was 40 as recently as 5-6 years ago. I don't love that. I just am not a fan of cutting off pathways for prospects and players to cash in on their earning. Sometimes they don't need college. That's extra risk.
Yeah.
I think it's not necessarily great for their development either, because if you're a college coach and you've got a hot shot recruit and you probably only have 2 years with him, you're not necessarily thinking about what his arm's going to be like when he's 31 pitching in Baltimore. You're maximizing what you can get for your 2 years. And then also, something that you didn't bring up, Jesse, but is equally as appalling, or at least as radical, is the implementation of an international draft for international prospects.
Which has never been done
instead of having never been done before, I don't even know, I haven't looked into, I missed this proposal, so I had to look it up for this podcast. So I want to do more time, sit with it more, and do more research before I come out with my forged in steel opinion. But that's a lot of dramatic change. I'm speaking with international stuff. Shortening the draft is bad. I just don't understand the value of that, really, in any way, other than, I guess you say the major league teams, maybe a couple $1 million, if that. And I just don't understand, why. Do you think, Jesse, that this would result in more undrafted signings? I just don't really know.
Right? It almost has to.
It has to, because you're not filling any kind of roster with 12 players. You're not filling a roster with 20 dudes, but you're at least close to it, right? So you could think of it as we're going to cycle in a whole new roster of guys. But turnover in minor league baseball is so crazy because guys
insane.
Either have it or they don't.
Right, and pretty quickly.
And I feel like you're just equipping fewer players with major league resources to grow and develop. And so you're just going to see, I feel like, a decline in available talent because you're not going to have as many people that are getting the same training investment resources.
I agree with that, because then who's in charge of those undrafted signings? Is it the minor league teams themselves? Is it still going to be done from the major league? Then what's the point of eliminating those draft picks anyway at that point, right?
Yeah, that just makes sense.
If you are a minor league team and you're trying to win your games too, right? You're not going to be as focused on development at that point. You're going to be trying to find guys who can help you win now. So you're going to see an influx of guys who are 24 years old, who took a redshirt year, played 5 years in college, and are coming out older because you're trying to do some win now stuff for your minor league team. If you're the ones making the signings.
Well, I mean, they're not really in charge of the rosters. It's the major league team.
But if we have more undrafted free agents, it's what umbrella does that fall under?
I see what you're saying, though. Who is responsible for that? Because
that's probably alarmist of me to say.
No,
but it's a question that needs to be answered.
No, and that phrasing, Jesse, is because I was like, Jesse knows this. Like, why does he say? But I get what you're saying now. Of like, if the Atlanta Braves are going to draft 12 players, right, and then all of a sudden you're providing fewer players to like your single A ball club. Like,
where are they coming from?
The Braves clearly don't want to invest more in players. So then, how does that? And I'm sure like the bonus would still be on the teams for sure. But I mean, then it creates this whole like portal of like you're gonna have like 8 to 10 guys on each roster in the minor leagues that are like just there to fill spots and like not really be invested in it. I don't like that inequity. I don't think that creates balance. I feel like that just pushes us more to like the haves and the have-nots.
Especially
and not between teams, but from the owners to the players.
Exactly, and that's what it comes down to. This is a very player-unfriendly scenario in this case, and it's designed to be that way. It really is, and I don't think as it stands right now, that proposal would never pass. So, debating those specific points, I think we've said enough on. But at the end of the day, it goes down to they're not negotiating in good faith. And we've talked about this before. The leagues continue to try to push this, but they are just not negotiating in good faith. And yes, players do have to sacrifice some, owners have to sacrifice some, but at the end of the day, your product is your player. And you have to be able to put that out. I don't know. I'm very interested to see where this goes, but I am tired of every single time that the CBAs for MLB are coming up that we have all these major issues. So
I guess they're framing the international draft as like we have all these under the table handshake agreements and verbals between prospects and teams. But I don't know. It's a change for sure.
It's going to take some getting used to if it were to be implemented. So, our last headline here that we missed, I'm not going to sit and pretend like I know a lot about what I'm talking about here, but the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup is pretty cool, right? And it continues this random push over the last decade or so of these teams from southeastern United States winning Stanley Cup finals. An area that I know you and I have spent a lot of time in this climate, not really known for its hockey prowess, but the professional teams are absolute dogs. Between the Lightning, the Panthers, and now the Hurricanes, winning Stanley Cups and shutting Canada out of their own glory here. Ben, what's your take on the Hurricanes winning?
Well, my primary take is I disagree with Raleigh, North Carolina being considered a southeastern climate, but I'm going to be honest, Jesse, I could tell you the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup. I could not tell you anything else about the Hurricanes other than their owner is the same cheapskate that now owns the Blazers. And I don't know if you saw, but he inscribed his children's names. He has like 7 kids, and they're on the Stanley Cup. And players that played at over 30 games for the Hurricanes this year are not on the Stanley Cup. That's about all I know. Congratulations to the Hurricanes. I know some people that have rooted for the Hurricanes. Hockey is my one like blind spot where I'm just like I don't know. Like I gun to my head right now. Couldn't tell you. Was it against Vegas? I could not tell you who Vegas played. I think it was Vegas. Let's see. Hold on. I'm pulling up a bracket. It was Vegas.
For being an expansion franchise within the last 10 years, Vegas has had some pretty solid years.
And Vegas is a weird... So I said that hockey is kind of my, like, blind spot. But Vegas is kind of, like, a weird situation where I do know a little bit because they've only been a team... Sorry, I was Googling because I wanted to know this. They are now on their 5th head coach, and they've only existed like 6 years.
That's crazy.
And they literally fired their coach during the season. They were in playoff contention still. Like, they weren't like out of the picture. They were literally like, if the season had ended that day, they would have been in the playoffs, but they were unhappy with their direction. I'm just now seeing Tim was trying to help us out there with our stupidity of not knowing who the Hurricanes played. So they fired their coach. Their interim took them to the Stanley Cup Finals, and then they hired a different guy.
Brutal. That's brutal.
That's like 90% of my knowledge is just the buffoonery of Vegas coaches.
All right, our next segment here, we're getting to the elephant in the room, the big thing that has been kind of captivating. And it's sad that we didn't really have a pod during our run because I feel like but I'm kind of thankful we didn't because I probably would have said some regretful things during that and I would have made some predictions that definitely would not have come true, especially knowing what I know now. But you and I have both.
Can I ask you before we dig into that?
Yeah.
And like in all honesty, I'm sorry, I know I'm jumping in our lineup here, but I feel like we kind of have to start here.
Yeah, we do have to start with us.
How far did you realistically think we would make it?
I was really hoping for quarterfinals. That was my quarter or semis. If we got to the quarterfinals, the expectation for me was quarters. And
okay, so you expected
a quarterfinal with home field advantage, and just kind of depending on where we fell onto the bracket going into the tournament, I wanted the quarterfinals. There was a pipe dream hope for me that we would pull some random upset out, or another team would pull an upset in their end of the bracket and meet us so that we can get to the semis.
Yeah.
There was no scenario where I thought we were actually going to win. I am
okay.
100%.
I just wanted to make sure we were rational actors in this conversation.
Yes.
Because the announcers at the end of the game against Belgium, right? They did the same thing that they do every 4 damn years. When they're like, you got to give soccer a try, guys. Like, stay here, stay with us. And then they were like, this is going to feel like every other year, but it's different, I swear. And they literally will say the same thing
every
4 years
time.
now. They said the same thing 4 years ago.
Yep.
And I keep seeing, like, magical run used with the U.S. I would like to ask you, Jesse, what's magical about our run, other than winning the group, which is a significant thing. But then if you look at we had a weak-ass group. Like, not winning that group would have been shocking.
Yeah. To me, this is going to sound crazy, but truly, I think the magical part of it was the vibes. That was it. It was the fact that it was here.
Were better than they've ever been, for sure.
It was because it was here. If it was not in the United States, it would have felt exactly the way that it has previously. Guaranteed. Like, as far as the actual product that was put out there, because the one game that we can unequivocally say was a great performance from start to finish was the Paraguay game, the opening match. The Australia game was wonderful. I was levitating at the end of that. The Australia game was good, wasn't great.
It was choppy.
It was choppy. There was, I don't know. I wasn't feeling that one as much. The Turkey game was a wash. We played a B team, and that was what it was. The first knockout game with Bosnia started off, and I started to feel like I did in the Paraguay game, right? I started to have that feeling, and then our offense just wasn't clicking the way that I felt like it really needed to, especially in the second half, and then the red card incident happened, and it just threw the whole vibe out the window. Threw that whole thing out. I was more angry about the situation than anything else. Going into the Belgium game, I had an irrational feeling of we got this, right? I'm buying into what the media is selling me. You know, I'm looking at all the USA fans outside the stadium. I'm like, yeah, we can do this, right? And I do believe that there is a universe where it does happen. That Belgian team isn't the best in the world by any means. They are better than us by far. But there was a game in which it could have happened. A 1-0 something. But to lose the way that we did, I don't want to be dramatic in saying it, but it felt like it negated so much. And I texted you the night of the game, and I said, that mistake on the third goal by Matt Freese and Tim Ream, it might have destroyed all of the goodwill that soccer had made in this country cheering for the men's team. But the thing that makes me the most angry about this whole process, and you know, we talk about women's sports all the time on this podcast, and we are both strong advocates. I am so tired of people saying that the U.S. is never going to win a World Cup. We've won 4. We've won 4. The women's team has 4 stars above the crest. They've won 4 of them. Soccer is good in this country. Our men's team and our men's program is not.
Yeah.
We have the pieces in place, and the U.S. women's soccer team has been building that from the ground up forever. And what infuriates me about that is that if the men, for some miracle, ever pull it together and win one, then it's going to take off. That's what infuriates me. And we've had this conversation that women's soccer, frankly, is a better product. It's a more watchable game. It's just better. There's less flopping. There's less dramatics with it. To me, it's just a better product. So I think that's where a lot of my frustration comes from, is that we have a mediocre team that guys are making far more money than the women do for a worse product, and they keep selling us every single year. Get into it. The future is bright. No, the present is bright if you were paying attention to the right place. That's my take on it, at least.
Yeah, and so for context, I thought I definitely believed we could win against Belgium. You know, Belgium, that's not Belgium of old. They're still very good, and they're better than us, and they proved that. But there's a world there. I could very easily see a world where we just played out of our gourds and stunned them. Excuse me. Our draw was insanely brutal, so I had no confidence in beating anybody other than Belgium. Truly, our path was unreal. And as soon as we got to the knockout stage, I was like, well, this quarters is maybe the max. But I drank the Kool-Aid a little bit, but gun to my head, I was like, they can't do it. Yeah. And I was right. And it was so dispiriting because it's not the result that pisses me off,
it's the
right?
process.
I expect to not win, right? It would have been shocking to me to even make the quarterfinals, even though I just said I thought we could do it. It was the way that they just laid down and died in that game. And theoretically, by the way, we're stripping the Super Bowl from Seattle. That was the worst home field advantage I've ever heard.
Supposed to hear about the 12th man?
I was
Get out of here with that.
so mad. I was like, fly me out there. I promise you would have heard me. You did not hear any of those people. Horrible home crowd. At least on the broadcast. I can't speak for the in-stadium experience, but on the watching Mexico and England, you could feel the Mexican fans.
It was electric.
I honestly, it was one of the most impressive, probably the most impressive win of the tournament to me, is England over Mexico. Even more so than, the one that we're going to talk about here in a minute, because of how hostile the environment was.
Have you ever seen England's national men's team to the brink like that? Dudes were collapsing. They were collapsing on the field at the end of that game. Neither team had anything left. You could tell at the end of the extra time. It was absolute madness. And like you said, that crowd was unbelievable for the entire time. We didn't have more than 30 seconds of that in Seattle. Yeah. And it was after the Tillman goal. But that crowd also laid down and died as soon as that first goal went in, along with the defense. And like you said, I can handle losing. I expected us to get knocked out at some point, right? But you hit the nail on the head. The way that it happened, where the defense just stood there and watched it happen for two of those goals, was just inexcusable to me. Absolutely inexcusable.
And we suffer from, I think, going a little bit more big picture. Our men's team, and I think Mexico's men's team, as it currently stands, suffer from the similar problem of when you watch a team like Belgium, right? Even though a lot of their biggest stars are way past their prime, they just have so many stars, right? And so many really good players. And the MLS has improved, and it's more of a global thing now than it ever has been because of players like Messi and other stars coming to the MLS. But we just don't have the horses to compete, and it's every World Cup. It becomes so obvious when we reach knockout time and other teams game are lean, and we just are we don't know what to do here because we just aren't built for that. And we've got a freaking MLS, and I know I say this, it's going to sound mean, but we've got a freaking MLS goalie in there playing against some of the best players in the world. And, he had some good stretches in this tournament. He also played one of the worst games I've ever seen a keeper play in the World Cup. In like a serious World Cup game. You know, we've seen like countries that are severely outclassed give up like 7-8 goals. That's different. You know, that's a talent gap. This is a talent gap, but also like a mental gap. And it was upsetting.
It just blows my mind that, like, I know this is not fair because he's probably the best goalie we ever had, but Tim Howard took a prime Belgium to the brink himself, broke the record for most saves because that defense was awful back in 2014. The fact that he had to make that many saves.
Yeah, you don't break the record for most saves with a stout back line.
So that's a better Belgium team with arguably a worse defense. And he turned in that kind of performance and kept them in that game. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what we can do. It's just we have so many other options for our top athletes to go do, right? If you're a tall guy,
I don't even think it's an athlete thing. Like, I've been reading a lot of that. Like, people are like, are our top athletes just becoming running backs or small forwards? And I don't think that's true. I think it's the infrastructure. If you think about like
the
players in England, players in Spain, players in France, they're training and developing and practicing from a young age because the infrastructure is there.
Yep.
We have like kind of AAU style soccer, but there's no standardization. It's really so focused more on like, hey, how can we get parents to spend $5,000 a year? And there's no consistency in development. U.S. soccer has failed to create an environment where our players can develop into world. We have over 300 million people in this country. There are enough people in this country that if the system and processes were in place, there's no reason that we could not be a top soccer country. But until we can figure that out, and that's not an easy fix, right? It's not like we can just wave our wand. But that's what sets us apart, and that's what holds us back, is that we just don't have the infrastructure to develop young talent.
No, hit the nail on the head, and Landon Donovan talked about that too. He said, my mom couldn't afford the club fees that these kids are having to pay. He's like, $4,000 to sign up for a tournament. He's like, my mom couldn't afford $400. He's like, we're shutting out people. It's pay to play. You know, getting to the rest of this World Cup, though, because we could talk about the U.S. team for a couple hours, I'm sure. But more on the positive side, this has actually been a phenomenal tournament. I've had a lot of fun.
It's an incredible World Cup.
And I'm so happy that we decided to co-host it with Canada and Mexico because we got the Azteca game, right? Just absolutely incredible scenes. But I think we can't really talk about this World Cup without talking about the fact that Messi is still him. He is still that guy.
Yeah.
And 38 years old, willing his team back and down 2-0 in the 80th minute and storming back to win that game in regulation is insane to me.
It's honestly insane. And my friend that you also know, Hope, was actually at that game. Yeah. And I was like, man, you picked one hell of a game to spontaneously go to. What a stupid gig. Like, just like, that's the kind of stuff that, like, look, I know not everybody in this country is a soccer fan, right? There's plenty of people that are like, it's shit's lame. I would encourage them to watch the last 15 to 20 minutes of that game. And if you don't walk away from that just absolutely stunned by the brilliance of an individual player, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, other players from Argentina made contributions and stepped up in those moments too. It wasn't just Messi, but man, it was his footprint all over that. I mean, he scored a goal, he assisted another, and just to tie it. Yeah. And then, of course, Argentina breaks through and wins with the header goal to finish it. But what a crazy, like, this World Cup has been so full of, like, rallies and close games and spirited fights. I mean, Cabo Verde obviously had their whole moment in the sun and almost beat this Argentina team. But just truly like a stupendous game and just such a great cup. I mean, so many great games and the best teams are in it till the end right now, and it's so good.
And going back to Cabo Verde, my favorite moment of the Cup, and quite frankly, this might be my favorite World Cup goal that I've ever seen, was that second equalizer that they hit to make it 2-2.
Stupid shot that he just
From a defender, and then the first thing he does is run straight to the crowd to find his girlfriend to give her a hug. Oh my gosh, that won Ashland over.
You know where home is.
Yep, that was just you can't not smile at that. So, one more thing that I do want to point out before I ask you about the Golden Boot here is just how does it feel watching the sense of togetherness that this cup has brought to so many different cultures? You know, we saw, Freddie on Twitter, the guy from Germany, going through and posting about his experience in the American South, and just seeing countries coming together. England and Mexico at the end of their game. There was a guy with an England shirt that he's like, I don't know where my England hat is, but someone gave me their Mexico hat, and they're shaking hands with people and they're dancing. It has been one of the most heartwarming things for me to watch, because it has been such a rough go in the world. And just to see everyone from the top and our leaders pulled back and seeing the people interact and seeing the people coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that so much of what is wrong in our world is because of what's happening at the top. And when you have something like this that is supposed to be a celebration of everyone, it's such a beautiful thing. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that too.
Yeah, I love the World Cup for that reason. You know, they call it the beautiful game, and it's because it's shared by all. And, football, right, to everybody else, and soccer to us, because we're Americans, so we have to call it something else. But I love the World Cup because it's high-class football at the top level of everything. But also, for that reason, it's just so exciting. The Olympics, to me, don't quite make it to the same level.
It just doesn't.
Because it's much more individual sport. I mean, there is teams competition at the Olympics, but it's just different. The World Cup it's the most prestigious trophy on the planet. I feel very comfortable saying that.
I would agree.
And it's just such a passion for you even read the stories of the other side of that passion, where Uruguay canceled their charter flight home. The Uruguay Soccer Federation canceled the charter flight home because their team got bounced before they should have, and they're like, all right, you can fly commercial on your way home.
Have fun, coach.
And you've also got stories of the South Korean soccer team coming back home at 3 a.m. local because they knew the fans would be disappointed, and they had to call riot police to hold the fans back, which it should not get to that point. And then their coach fled the country and came back to America to hide, as the Prime Minister of Japan or of South Korea is like, we need to open an investigation into how this guy got hired. Like, it's that passion. Sometimes it gets ugly, but the passion and just the cultural exchange that you also talked about, it's truly an unmatched experience. And just watching, it's been cool with the Cup in America to see it happen to cities that we know, but I'm thinking of the video I saw of the Dutch fans just swarming down the street in Kansas City, and I too saw some stuff from after England and Mexico that just like you're talking about, and just I know, it's cool. It's a really cool experience. I wanted to go to a game in Atlanta, and I had a game marked, and then the prices skyrocketed once the game started because people were like, holy shit, this is
gotta go.
So, in 20 years, when we surely have the World Cup again, I guess I'll have to go. But or 2031,
2031, we got the women's
year. So, but yeah, just the World Cup is special, man. There's nothing like it.
Shout out to the Norwegian fans doing a conga line dance while the Mets were losing at Citi Field. Just incredible. The happiest anyone has ever been at Citi Field, by the way. That place is a place where happiness goes to die. But last thing on the World Cup here, we got a 3-man race for the Golden Boots, and between Mbappe, Messi, and Haaland. And I want to get your take on who you think. Currently, Mbappe and Messi are tied with 8 apiece.
Yeah.
And Haaland is at 7, but he is due to play on Saturday. I'll go ahead and give mine. I think Mbappe is going to get this one. I think he's kind of outpacing Messi right now, just as far as overall pace goes, and I feel like he's taking more shots and has been really, really aggressive. Clearly, he's going to have the all-time record unless something catastrophic happens to his body. I want Erling Haaland to get it. I just don't think Norway is going to make it far enough for him to be in a conversation, because I do believe either Mbappe or Messi or both are going to be in the final.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I just don't think Norway is going to have the horses to keep going as far as Mbappe and Messi will go. I don't know. I feel like it's probably Mbappe, but I truly don't know. I mean, it could go either way. And Argentina is not necessarily. I mean, Argentina has a slightly clearer path, I guess, as much as you can say. I mean, you're playing Switzerland, which definitely helps. And then you play Norway or England, both of whom are easier than the presumed Spain that France will be playing. But, you know, I don't know. I'm going to lean Mbappe, but it truly could be either of them.
Yeah.
It could be Haaland, too. Like, if he goes just crazy in one more game, it could be enough.
Good.
Soccer's a fickle game, but...
Get a nice hat trick before he gets sent away. Alrighty. Real quick before we get into our entertainment section of this, I need to swap out my camera because my computer battery is draining. So give me just a moment. We can stay on air, but I will just have to swap out my camera.
Sure. Yeah. This ad break is sponsored by Insert Business here. Could be you. Just saying.
Alright.
Could be you. Should be you. Someone
should be. Why not you? Why not us? Oh yeah, because we suck.
Well, mostly just because that's money laundering, but...
That's fair. Let me clean off this grubby little...
you guys get to see how the magic happens here. It's not all just fame and glory here in the podcasting business.
Alright. Back on the old cam here. Cool. Alright, so our next segment, we're going to be talking about a video game that you and I both love dearly, and it is the college football series that I remember when the first version of it, when it came out, you and I spent just a concerning amount of time playing that first one. And
I took PTO for a
you
long
did take
day.
PTO, and honestly, that was back when I was still a classroom teacher, and I was on the summer, and it was a glorious week of playing college football. College Football 27 is out. You and I got to play during the 10-hour free trial, and I used every ounce of that time. Actually kicked me out middle of the game, which...
Did it?
It hurt my feelings a bit. It was fun. But I just kind of wanted to talk about some things we're noticing, maybe some things we like, some things we don't like, and just to get an overall rating of how you're feeling with it now that they're in year 3. So first and foremost, what are you noticing? What are some things that you're liking about the new game?
We'll start with things that I like, sure. I actually really like the NIL overall. I think it's really fascinating and interesting, and I haven't played as much as you, I would suspect. I've played a couple. We played together, and then I've played a couple other times. I haven't finished a season of a dynasty because I started a 3-person dynasty with some friends, then a 2-person, and then I played a little bit with solo. I haven't played Road to Glory yet. I traditionally mostly just play Dynasty, to be honest. But I like the NIL system so far. I think it's a really good way to incorporate that mechanic of real life college football into the video game without it being insanely complex. I think it just adds, an extra element to it. I think the game actually plays pretty smoothly. As I keep playing, I'm sure I'll find more flaws with it. But so far, gameplay seems really tight and polished. Presentation is good as always. Like I said, I can't really speak to Road to Glory because I haven't played it yet, but I think it plays really well. I think the mascot mode is super fun. The unlock mechanic for it is one of the worst probably the second worst feature about this game, but pretty bad. And but yeah, I think it's a good entry for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. That was my number one point too, was the NIL layers. I think it's awesome. I think it does bring that newer sense of what's happening in college football. And if you're a smaller school and you want that big time recruit, you're gonna have to pony up a little bit to get that guy. And I think those things matter. And you also have to think about retention. You got to make sure you're taking care of the guys on your team. With that being said, too, some other things that I like, the new formations and pre-snap motion engines that they have
glorious,
is really cool, and it just gives that sense of realism to some of the quirky, weird things that you see, especially in college football. And then I do like that you can sway a recruit after verbal commitments, and that they are more likely to still go if they verbally committed, but it's still not an impossibility. You can try to sway them back. It's an uphill battle. I haven't been successful in doing so yet, but it is an option. It is there, and once I figure it out, it is over for the rest of the ACC.
Yeah, I like that, and I also want to add one more thing: the AD expectations. I think, and like I said, I haven't finished seasons yet, but I really like that it gives you different stakes, right, and different objectives to achieve, because especially with how they, and we'll probably touch on this a little bit as we continue to talk about the game, but you are gone are the days realistically where you're loading up Wyoming and you're just claiming glory within a year or two. In college football 26, I went to South Alabama and I had an undefeated national championship season in my second year. That's not going to happen anymore. You're not getting that caliber of recruits that frequently, and so the difficulty is a lot higher. So I like that you're motivated, with different goals, and it also adds like real stakes to your employment. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't finished a season yet, and I know there's some other mechanics in the off season that I'm really going to be interested in, like the coach carousel. Mm-hmm. That I'm intrigued to see how the reimagined version is, where you have a little bit more agency and there's a little bit more variance to how it works, and it's not just like completely random, but it's also based on like where you want to be. But I really like that, like if you're at a school like Notre Dame, for example, they're going to have high expectations. Yeah. And
they should.
If you don't meet them, you could potentially find yourself looking for a new job, because sometimes I think, it's a little too comfortable in some of these old games. Of like, well, like, I mean, if I don't win, like, there's no punishment.
Right. They're not going to actually fire me.
Yes.
Get ready to learn Indeed.com. All right, so some things that we don't like, and this is going to be one pretty obvious if you've been on any of the discourse with things that are going on in the video game world. Yeah, the introduction of the microtransactions into this game, very unwelcome and needs to go away immediately, and I think people are punching back on this really hard right now. I saw a change.org petition about it, and quite honestly, I think the biggest way to get these video game companies to actually pay attention to the things that we want is to, frankly, kind of bully them in a sense, and it's unfortunate because that's what so much of gaming has become. But I read something earlier that someone said that I didn't really even realize, and it started with games like Fortnite that were free to play that had the microtransactions within them, and that felt okay because you got the game for free, so you're going to support the developers, you're going to support the artists and things that go into it through purchasing things, and if you don't want to, you can just play for free. Now that has creeped into our paid games, and that's an issue, because the games are already expensive enough, right? If you bought the bundle with the Madden bundle, is $135 on Xbox with EA Play, right? That's a decent chunk of change. The economy's hard out here. If I'm paying $70 for a game, I paid for the game, right? Especially for features that were already in the game previously, right? And that, it just doesn't set well with me. It just doesn't set well with me. 2K has been doing it for years, and it's been miserable because you just try to go to a park game and there's a 98 overall on day 2 who's yamming all over you, right? And there's nothing you can do with your 62 overall because you're trying to grind. You don't want to spend another $100 on VC, right? And it's just, that's been the most frustrating thing for me on this one. The second thing I don't like is the drop passes animations are still there, where the dudes will just like, their back will just arch all the way back and they throw the ball behind their head. I'm like, why? It's predetermined that he's dropping this ball. What are we doing here? I get it. I should stop throwing hospital passes, but I'm paying these dudes a lot of money in the NIL to make some.
I know if they're durable, you know.
Right.
I agree 100% on the microtransactions. I think it's but I don't agree 100%. I agree with your point. I'm gonna disagree a little bit on your specifics because with a game like Fortnite or Marvel Rivals is another popular version of this. Those paid microtransactions, while annoying, don't affect gameplay. Correct. It's cosmetic, right? It's you want to look like Spider-Man, you want to look like the Hulk, you want to look like Hatsune Miku, like you buy your skin, whatever, but you don't have to do it. Like
exactly.
2K, my gripe with 2K, and that's now going to creep into college football, is that's pay to win.
Yes.
That is, if I give you $100, I can make my guy so much better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And now in college football, for those who aren't as caught up, the main way that microtransactions are impacting this game is that they have made it more difficult for your coach or your road to glory player to level up and get better and unlock better abilities. It's slower. It happens slower.
It does.
But if you spend real money, you can make it happen faster. And that's my beef. And I've seen a lot of discourse, I'm really actually encouraged a lot of the top content creators for this game have spoken out about it. Bordeaux is probably like the biggest.
He's going after it.
And he's tweeting every 10 minutes, in reply to them, I really am encouraged. But it's, Dynasty is theoretically an offline mode. I play Dynasty we have a Dynasty together, but it's theoretically like an offline mode. And instead of having it full, and part of the appeal is that it's always been extremely customizable.
Right.
If you want to put Alabama in the Pac-12, you can do it. If you want to go coach at Sacramento State and make them an SEC powerhouse, you could do that. Yeah. But now you're limiting some of the sandbox ability of this mode and hampering the amount of time you have to grind to get to a high enough coach level to help make some of these smaller school programs able to punch with the big fellas. It takes forever. And they've already kind of half been we're going to address this, but they haven't really. No. It's a little bit of progress, but it's not enough.
They're waiting up the clock.
So that's obviously extremely frustrating because I agree with you. If I paid $70 for a game, then I expect to be able to play all the features of that game. If you want to add later DLC that I have to buy, that's annoying, but I get it. But that's annoying. I talked about mascot mode. I'll talk briefly. The way you unlock new mascots for the mascot mode is you have to win a play now game as that team. So if I want to you start with 10 unlocked, but if I wanted the Iowa State mascot for my sister-in-law, and I had to win a game as Iowa State, but not just any game in any mode. I have to go into the play now mode, play a game that doesn't count for anything, doesn't count for any of my modes, won't help my coach improve, won't help my road to glory player improve to be named later, and I have to play that game. So I have been doing it on bye weeks when I'm playing online Dynasty, and I'll just play 1 minute quarters, shoot the clock, and win those games. And it's just so aggravating. Instead, if you had been you have to defeat this team in any mode or win a game as them, then that's one thing. Then I can play my Dynasty. I can beat Tulane and be sick, there's the mascot. That's a bad example. Tulane was one of the unlocked mascots. But I can beat Stanford and be there's the tree. Yeah. Which I did beat. I did win a game with Stanford, so I could get the tree. Great mascot. Otto the Orange is next. That super sucks. And then there's always, sports games always do this. And college football had mostly avoided this. I felt 26 was a clear elevation from 25, and now I feel we've taken a step back in some areas. in the last game, when a player was injured, it would pop up on the screen, injured player with the name and the school. Now it just says injured player. And I'm like, why would you
So
go
I do
backwards?
have some good
You don't
news.
get to the ball.
I have some
Did
good
they
news.
fix that?
I got an update yesterday. I pushed the update to my Xbox, and it came up every time a player was injured. It came up on the top right with the player and the injury, what the injury
Okay.
was.
So that's good that they fixed it.
But it should have been
But
there
why-
from the get-go.
Why did it need to be? And there's just
Yes.
like always little stuff like that in sports games where it's like, this isn't a broken feature. Like, why
They're
would you
so
change this?
bloated. They're so bloated because they keep building on the previous year, and the size of them just balloons. It's a 150 gig game. Like, come on now.
It's So there, I have some like little gripes like that, but other little gripes like that, I should say. It's also kind of crazy. Yeah. This is in the fourth quarter of week 1, and he suffered a career-ending back strain, and it's like sick.
Ouch.
That's great, but yeah, I wish more customization of some of those sliders and take the microtransactions out of it. The issue, I feel like unfortunately we were always destined for this. Madden's microtransactions are limited to Ultimate Team.
Right.
But people aren't playing College Ultimate Team because, like, why would you? Madden is one thing, but like College Ultimate Team, like, you're not going to grind for that Kansas State guard.
No.
You don't. That's not how it works. You don't know all the players like you do in Madden because there's 32 teams,
Right.
and they're on national television every Sunday. And so, unfortunately, they figured out nobody was going to play college football Ultimate Team, so they started putting microtransactions in other areas because EA is nothing if not hungry for money. And so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know that they'll fully cave to the pressure from the community. I think they'll cave to some of it and then they'll stop. But we also once completely bullied EA into fundamentally reworking Battlefront 2 on the fly. So keep fighting the good fight, I guess, and maybe we'll get some.
That's all we can do. That's all we can do sometimes. Alrighty. Final point on this star rating out of 5. I'm giving it a 4. I'm having fun with it. There's some things that they can obviously fix. If they can fix microtransactions, 4.25 kind of situation, maybe 4.5, but it's still a fun play, right? I'll still sit there for several hours and have a good time.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I'm docking it a full star for the not just, and we haven't even, like, not just the microtransactions, but the rug pull that they pulled with them, where they had all these content creators come play the game, and they just, like, hid the existence of these microtransactions
Completely.
until the game came out, and people discovered them. Hi, Oreo. So I'm going to say 3.5 because I actually do really like the game, and, it's early, and I reserve the right to change that opinion positively or negatively, but I got to knock on the full star for.
All right, so this has been a while since we've done this, the old playlist game, and
The old playlist game.
I feel like I've been kind of stuck in a musical rut, and I truly think it's because I haven't been doing the playlist game. It's been like a month or so, and we didn't do it, I think, our last pod before it, so it's been a second.
No, I don't think we did.
So I'm glad that we're back, and I'll go ahead and start, and the phrase that I got for this one, and we both tried to be a little topical with our phrases that we gave out. I'm interested to see which one you went with because I gave you an option, and we'll see which one you ended up choosing. But the phrase that Ben gave me was "proud to be an American idiot," and I love this one because it let me go back to some of my punk roots and some of my protest songs that I like here. And to start this one off, I will preface it's a Green Day song, but there was a low-hanging fruit for me to choose American Idiot on this as the first song. I did not do that.
I appreciate that.
I did choose a song from the album, though, that I actually feel is a better representation of what this feeling is and what the protest message is. So I chose the song Holiday. And Yep, Ash called it immediately. Holiday is the first one. And then my second song, she's not a good person, but the beat on this song is filthy and just remains probably one of the best protest songs. It's Paper Planes by MIA. And just a banger if you don't consider who's singing it. That's all I'll say.
That's crazy. The MIA attack is wild.
The third song is All Right by Kendrick Lamar off of the critically acclaimed To Pimp a Butterfly, one of the most important pieces of hip-hop. I think that album as a whole is just incredible. If you've never listened to it, please go do it. Just stop watching us and go listen to the album. Fourth is This Is America by Childish Gambino, the first rap song to win Record of the Year at the Grammys. Get Up, Stand Up by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Bombs Over Baghdad by Outkast. Violet Hill by Coldplay. Never Take It by 21 Pilots. Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine, which, fun trivia note, Bulls on Parade was released on the exact day that I was born. So the song is 30 years old to the day it was released. And ending it off with Revolution by the Beatles. The good one, not the weird one.
The good one, not the weird. Jesse, what am I missing about, what do I not know about MIA?
She said some pretty controversial things. I'll talk to you later.
I'll do some research after the podcast. I was just like, did I miss something? I mean, not that I really consider MIA in my daily life. But... Oh, I remember now.
Yep.
Sorry, I did a Twitter search.
I was like, I'm sure you were aware of it.
Okay, yeah, I'm remembering now. Yeah, no, you're as long as you don't consider her as a person. Okay, well, I like that you went with. I was hopeful that you would find some good, like, protest songs.
Yeah.
I thought it would be kind of fun, given the timing.
All right, which one of mine did you choose?
So Jesse gave me two, and I chose. I was honestly going to choose the first one all the way until I actually sat down to make the playlist, and then I was like, I kind of like the second one, so I went with That's an Earworm, No RFK, which is a great way to come back. So I went with my goal was just to kind of go with some really catchy songs, just like really stick and bounce around in your head. So I have What Ya Say by Jason Derulo. I have Say So by Doja Cat.
Okay.
Also, as long as you don't consider the person singing. I'm Good by David Guetta and BB
Oh, yes.
Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. Oh. Anyway, Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. Cotton Eye Joe by Rednecks, because I had to. It's one of the greatest works of our culture. Hips Don't Lie, featuring Wyclef Jean by Shakira, our nation's princess. Hollaback Girl by Gwen Stefani.
Yes.
Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. Temperature by Sean Paul.
Oh, he's pulling it out.
Which, man, you get a little bit of liquor in me, man. I'm begging for Temperature on the aux. And last but not least, Sunflower by Post Malone and Swae Lee.
That's an excellent playlist. That I will be spinning that one for sure.
Oh wait, actually, of course, there's one more song.
Of course there is.
Summertime Sadness, the Cedric Gervais
remix,
that's
such a good remix.
The one and only Lana Del Rey.
That's such a good remix. I love that one.
I wanted to see if I could convince you that I forgot Lana Del Rey.
I was sitting there. I was like, was it Miley that he always had? But you've had Miley before, but it's not on every single one.
Yes. No, I've had a Lana song on every single playlist because there is a Lana song for every single playlist.
All right, let's have some fun. And we're going to play some of our games. We got a draft. We have a pick the real or fake one coming up here as well. We're going to go ahead and do our draft first. This was the game that I came up with. And this is just a straightforward SpongeBob episode draft. We get 5 picks each. and it's a snake draft. You get to pick whichever episode you think are the 5 best ones. So I will go ahead and be a gracious host, and I will defer to you on this one. You will get the first pick.
You say gracious, but that means you get to pick twice before I make a second pick. So
I mean, I can take the first pick.
No, I'm going to take the first one because there's one episode that I just absolutely have to. I think I came up with 12 before I was like, I don't actually need more than that, and it's just going to not help me.
You got about 10.
Yeah. And so I'm taking what I think is the best episode, which is the Krusty Krab training video.
Oh, phenomenal. That was on my list. I don't know if I would have taken it first, but it definitely would have been one of my top 3. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm taking that one home to Miss Terry, and I feel good about it.
All right. With my first round pick, I'm going to take Chocolate with Nuts. Just an all-timer.
It's a good one.
And for my second round first pick, I'm going to go ahead and take Band Geeks.
Band Geeks was number 2 on my board.
Chocolate.
So this is tough.
Did you say
hate to see
chocolate?
Band Geeks off the board, but I knew that it would be. So I get back to back here.
Yes, you do.
All right, I'm going to go with the Hash Slinging Slasher.
Oh, great one. Troy's trying to tell you which one.
You didn't like that pick. I think I'm gonna go with Squilliam Returns.
Ooh, good one. That's the restaurant one, right?
Yeah, that's the one where he forgets
5-star
everything except for breathing and fine dining.
Just try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no,
Your wife's
he's
going
hot.
crazy with these comments.
All right. I'm taking Pizza Delivery with my third one.
Pizza Delivery was also on my board.
Do you remember when we sent you and Cheyenne the video of me in New York City just walking down the road doing the Krusty Krab pizza song with my double XL, like 20-inch pepperoni pizza?
I do remember that.
All right. Pick number 4. Give me Jellyfish Jam. I can't believe it's actually still on the board.
No, I thought I could get it.
I'm taking Jellyfish Jam. If you're not familiar, just type in Jellyfish Jam in YouTube and thank me later.
Oh, Jesse. Oh, man, I had a whole strategy. Okay. Well, so I have my last 2 now?
Yes.
Because you've made 4 picks. Hold on 1 second, Jesse.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just making sure Troy's good. Okay. I'm going to take the camping episode.
Oh, excellent. That one was on my list too.
The anti-sea bear circle alone puts it on the board. Oh God, I have a lot. I'm sure we'll do some honorable mentions.
I'm sure we will.
But I think I'm gonna take the pie bomb episode.
I love the pie bomb episode.
I think it's funny. But yeah, they're
the premise of that
from
episode is unhinged.
From a bomb factory. It's honestly looking. So I came up with a list, and then I was like, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting something obvious. Yeah. So I Googled and found like a list of top 25, and I am like, holy shit, man! I forgot how like stupid some of these were. Like they're so ridiculous.
What flavor is it? Cherry, apple, raspberry. I've been saving it in my pocket for us to eat.
Your final pick.
Oh man. This is like,
it's hard, right? Because you're like, which one of these are you're gonna be left on the chopping block?
This is like asking me to cut out a family member. Give me the Fry Cook Games.
Fry Cook Games is really good.
The Fry Cook Games.
I did not think of that one, but that's a great one.
All right, I'll go ahead and name the ones that I had on my honorable mention list that did not get picked. The Idiot Box with the imagination.
The Idiot Box was on my list, yeah, of course.
The Snowball Effect, the Snowball episode.
That's a great one.
Shanghai, the one where they get taken by the Dutchman and
the Flying Dutchman, yeah.
I had 4 biscuits and I ate one. I can't believe this one didn't get picked, but Frankendoodle.
I don't think I cared for Frankendoodle as much. I considered Frankendoodle, and it wasn't to the same tier
No,
to
I
me
got
as
it.
the others on my list.
And then the last one that I had unpicked was Culture Shock, the one where Squidward does his interpretive dance at the talent show, and everyone hates it.
That's a good
It's
one.
a classic as well.
So you said Idiot Fox already. I had, I think its actual name is called like Sailor Mouth.
Yes.
The one where they learn the curse word.
Yep.
I had Nasty Patty
Mm-hmm.
when they
Kill the health inspector.
The health inspector. The one where they were painting Mr. Krabs' house.
Yes. Patrick,
I
don't think this bubble could get any bigger. Nonsense!
I couldn't pick one, but I wanted to honorable mention anything that had Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy.
All of
which
them.
I couldn't remember which episode had the so this is your wallet. But
I can't remember which number that is either, but oh my god.
That one alone is worth being
Ashlyn going crazy in the comments with all the SpongeBob references.
There's just so many others that like the more you play, like the more you think. Like the one where they were in Sandy's house when she was hibernating.
Yep. The Valentine's Day one. Heart on stick must die.
There are so many good ones, truly. But
I
feel good. I took home training episode, hash slinging slasher, camping episode, pie bomb, and Squilliam returns.
Yo, I think I got a good deal here. Chocolate with nuts, Band Geeks, pizza delivery, jellyfish jam, and fry cook games.
Yeah,
I'm feeling that.
2 good hauls.
I'm feeling that. But neither one of us lost. Honestly, you can't lose in this situation. All right. Our next game was a brainchild of Ben's. Go ahead and take it away, Penny.
Yeah, so obviously I think Jesse and I will probably talk about Spider-Man in more depth as we get closer to the actual movie, but I thought it would be fun to play. It has no sexy name, so I'm coming up with one off the dome. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
This game is called Thwip or Thwap.
Ooh, okay.
So we each came up with four pairs of Spider-Man storylines. One of them is a real storyline from Spider-Man media. I said from comics, but I'm willing to accept any Spider-Man media.
Yep.
The other is completely made up. It did not happen. Pure fiction. Jesse is going to read his to me and vice versa, and we have to guess which one is real and which one is fake.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I honestly just wanted us to cook. I don't even really care as much. Well, I had two purposes. One, it was to call attention to some of the absolutely batshit insane things that have happened to Spider-Man in the comic books. But also, I just wanted to see how we could cook. So I'm very excited.
All right.
Unfortunately, well, I know you're a huge Spider-Man person, but like, if I have a special interest, it's Marvel Comics. So I'm curious to see if you can get me.
I think this is going to be much harder for me to guess than you, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I
also want to see if we pick any of the same real.
We probably do, because we always do.
We always do.
Always do. All right, my first pairing here. Jackal releases a virus that gives everyone in Manhattan spider powers, or Doc Ock mutates his DNA to make his skin cells impenetrable like Tombstone.
Pretty sure Jackal did do that.
Is that your final guess?
Yes.
Yep, that was a real one. It was a 2011 storyline.
Spider Island, right?
Yep.
I couldn't remember if Jackal was the responsible for that. Here's the shit about Spider-Man, man. So many of his guys do the same shit to
right.
him that sometimes it's hard to remember. That's a good one. All right, your first challenge, Jesse. A villain who used to be into Spider-Man's aunt switches bodies with Spider-Man, leaving Spider-Man's consciousness in his dying body, fucks around, ultimately kind of becomes good, and sacrifices himself to bring Peter Parker back in his body via a secret mental backup in his brain.
Okay.
Versus a crossover arc back from when Marvel and DC used to play ball, where the Lizard and Killer Croc teamed up to swampify Gotham and New York City, which featured Spider-Man adding a Robin-like attire to fight alongside Batman.
I'm almost 100% positive the first one is real, because isn't that Superior Spider-Man?
Is that your final answer?
I'm going with yes.
Yes, that is Superior Spider-Man. Ain't that some shit?
Yes.
Like, and folks, that's the Cliff Notes version. Like,
There's
call me,
so
I'll
much
tell
in
you
that
all
one.
about
It's
it.
crazy.
It's absurd. Like, Doc Ock used to like want to fuck Aunt May.
Yeah.
Like, that was a plot line, and
Yeah.
then he was like, honestly, it's a crazy. I actually think it was kind of a well done storyline, although I'm colored, I think, by like most of the horrible decisions Spider-Man editorial has made in the last 20 years. But anyway.
Yeah, and if my memory serves me right, that was the continuation of the original Amazing Spider-Man line, wasn't it?
Yeah, Peter Parker like was dead.
Yeah.
For like 2 years.
A while, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, my second one. Harry Osborn is the one bit by a spider, but becomes a villainous Spider-Man and kills Peter. Or Kirk Connors loses any remaining humanity, becoming a permanent lizard and eats his own son.
God damn it. See, here's where I'm confused, or where I'm stumped, is because I'm pretty sure the first one was a what if, but I also remember the second one. I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say that it's the Harry Osborn one is real.
It might be. I actually wrote that myself, but the second one is actually real from 2010.
Harry Osborn.
The Shed storyline. It very well could have happened. I tried to write stuff that I felt like could have happened.
I don't think it actually happened. I think I read this on somebody. Maybe somebody pitched this online, but I'm not finding it as real. So,
Kirk Connors.
Good job, Jesse.
Kirk Connors ate his own son.
Yeah, he did do that. That's why I was like, that's why I'm so torn, is because I'm like pretty sure he did that. But also, I feel like I read this Harry Osborn story so like recently. So like I don't know. I'm impressed. All right, your next one. A future version of Spider-Man grapples with the loss of Mary Jane Watson after decades of sexual intercourse left her riddled with cancer and later deceased because Spider-Man's sperm was radioactive. Versus Spider-Man and Daredevil swap bodies in a fiendish plot by Kingpin to capture and defeat his hated enemies, featuring Spider-Man defending an alleged bank robber in court and Daredevil having to take a math test without Braille.
I know for a fact the first one's real, because it's one of the most controversially stupid things that's ever happened in Spider-Man history. That first one about Mary Jane.
Is called Spider-Man Reign, and yes, and it's funny because like people always make that joke about Superman, like, oh well, like Superman's alien like sperm, like Lois Lane, but they actually did do this.
They did that story. And it wasn't a quick one. It was like microdosing.
No, it was a miniseries. He hallucinates Mary Jane like the whole time. It's absurd. It's an absurd story.
Out of ideas. Alrighty, your third one. Captain Yuri Watanabe falls for and marries Spider-Man despite not knowing his identity and never seeing his face. Or, Rhino is sick of being treated like he's dumb, so he forces scientists to surgically make him smarter.
Damn, you did really good, Jesse. I talked a lot of Gabe, but you did good. I'm going to go with Rhino is real.
Yep, Rhino one is real. That's from Tangled Web.
I was like, yeah, I don't remember Yuri Watanabe marrying Spider-Man. I remember her getting her ass beat, but...
Yep. Many times.
All right, Jesse, your third one. Peter Parker's parents were actually secret CIA agents who were murdered while undercover investigating the Russian Red Skull.
Okay.
Versus Spider-Man teams up with Iron Man and the Hulk to fight Santa Claus after Dr. Doom infects his eggnog with a powerful agent. Like nerve agent.
I'm going with the first one being the fake one because I just feel like the Santa Claus one is something ridiculous enough for Marvel to try.
It might be, but they haven't tried it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in case you were curious, canonically, Peter Parker's parents were murdered by a Russian, a man, the third Red Skull, who was kind of like a KGB version of the Red Skull, and they were undercover, and they got
Ashlyn put in the chat that the video game actors for Insomniac Spider-Man, the voice actors for both Peter Parker and Captain Watanabe are actually married in real life. We met both of them at MegaCon here in Orlando. Wonderful people. Absolutely wonderful people. I have... let me grab it real quick.
Jesse's got to show off his gear, his toys.
Got it signed.
That's pretty nice.
Got it signed by him.
It ain't bad. It's pretty good.
We love it. All right.
Your
last one here.
Point.
Betty Brant joins a cult, so Spidey tries to rescue her and unmask him in the process. Or Doc Ock reforms and becomes a successful baker in Tribeca. Peter doesn't buy it, beats him up, and it's front page news from JJJ for beating up an old hard-working bakery owner.
I mean, it's the Betty Brant one, but that's a good. You cooked. Pardon the pun.
You are correct, but yes.
It's believable though.
Can you imagine? Hey, Allison, I want to go to MegaCon.
Hi, Allison.
Who's Gus? Allie, you missed us talking about your wedding earlier.
Yeah, when you watch this back for engagement metrics, just pay attention in the beginning.
Alrighty. Can you imagine? Can you imagine J. Jonah Jameson sitting there? Spider-Man's a menace, beating up on a hard-working old man who's just trying to make a bakery for a living.
Just trying to make an honest buck in this city. All right, Jesse, are you ready?
Yes.
Your final one. 2 clone children born of a mix of Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn's DNA, who are presented as biological children from an affair, are raised by a rogue AI combined of Norman and Harry Osborn, age too fast, die, and are reborn as demons to torment Spider-Man. Versus Hydro Man concocts a fiendish plot to spread a biological weapon using his body through bottles of sports drinks, infecting millions of New Yorkers with mind-controlling nanites, forcing Spider-Man to team up with Electro and the Living Laser to electrocute the entire city to free them from Hydro Man's control.
I legitimately have no idea. Whichever one it is, you absolutely set this up beautifully. I'm going to go with the first one is real.
Exactly. The first one is real. I literally...
I would rather read yours.
Here's the thing about the first one, right? It's actually technically 2 storylines, or a storyline and then a storyline that was retconned, because the original storyline was, hey, by the way, Gwen Stacy fucked Norman Osborn and gave birth to twins who were infected with had the goblin serum in them. And then later Marvel was like, what the hell were we doing?
What were we thinking?
A thing they ask themselves often about their Spider-Man plots. And they were like, we gotta fix this. And the way they chose to fix it was, no, wait, they're actually, like, they were cloned and they were raised by this rogue Osborn AI, and then now they're, like, demons from hell because they died, and then they die again.
So we got a good question in the chat here. If I were to watch a Marvel movie, which should I watch first? Do you recommend movie order or chronological, Ben?
In terms of, like, if she was to watch the entire MCU?
I mean, once you start, you got to finish it.
I think the first Avengers movie is a great starting point because it's a really good mix of comic book, action, humor. I think the first Avengers movie is great. The first Iron Man movie is also good.
That's where I started, Ashland. Was the first Iron Man movie.
Because start at the beginning, I think is good too. But it kind of depends. I think either of those two are generally like if somebody asks. We hadn't mentioned your amazing dance moves yet, Alyssa, but we'll do an in memoriam for your stanky leg. Um, but I would recommend Iron Man or the Avengers for sure.
Yeah, either one. I would agree with that. I started Ashlyn off when we did our Marvel watch through where she was watching stuff for the first time. I started her with Iron Man and she fell in love with it immediately after that, and then we just kind of went from there. If you chose to do it chronologically speaking, Allie, technically the first one is Captain America, the first Avenger, as far as like where it fits in their timeline. But I don't really think you can go wrong with either one that Ben said. The Avengers movie is a great place to start, I think, because it's a good proof of concept. You just got a big bad and you got a team of dudes trying to save the day. And kind of introduces you to that world pretty easily. So,
if you just want to watch one to see if you like it, either is fine. I would probably lean towards Avengers because that's really more tonally consistent with what the rest of the movies are like. Because you can watch Avengers and then you can go back and watch Thor, Iron Man, the first Captain America, and it's not like you're missing stuff. Avengers does a good job of like, here's who they are and what's special about them. And then if you decide, oh shit, I really like this, I want to learn more, then you can go back and watch the first one. Yeah. But you can't go wrong with either.
No, you can't. All right, it's time for the takeout. I lied earlier. I really only have one today.
That's okay. I only really came up with two. So.
All right. And that is just more of an appreciation for things right now. As you know personally, Ben, life has been all over the place. I feel like over the last year, and it feels like things are looking up right now, and it's so nice to have a new place that we're living. And one of the best pieces of advice I think I can give people is if you can, and wherever you live, set up a space for yourself to be who you are, and kind of let that happen, because we got this townhouse that had an extra bedroom and we have turned it into kind of our hobby room, and that's where I'm doing this podcast from right now. And I put the shelves up and put some of my favorite things back there, a couple albums that I'll swap out. I got my on-air sign. I got my comic book that's signed.
Not even on, Jesse.
Well, you can't read it when it's on. From here. This comic book here, Fantastic Four, signed by Joseph Quinn, who played Johnny Storm in last year's Fantastic Four movie. So this space that I'm in right now, I just have it set up with all my consoles, and it's a space that makes me happy, that I can go to after a long day, and I can decompress and just kind of have it be me, right? If I still had my other camera on, I'd turn it around and show you some of the stuff I have hanging up, just some of my favorite things. But that's the best advice I can give, is just have a space for you. And then the desk that I built that everything's sitting on is a double desk. And my wife has a section on the other side with some of her favorite things that she likes to do to unwind. And just having that space even within your home to kind of be who you want to be.
I like that. That's really nice, Jesse. I'm really happy for you. I know you guys are excited about the new place, and I can't wait to see it when we get a chance to see it.
Halloween Horror Nights.
What a positive, uplifting takeout. You want to bring the vibes back down a little bit?
Yes, I do.
And then I will bring it back up at the end, because I've decided I like when we end positively. I feel better walking away from the laptop. But first, I'm sure, I'm sure when we get closer to like the end of like the true NBA offseason, we'll probably talk about maybe some like big moves we liked and big moves we didn't like. Bro, what the hell is this Trae Young bullshit?
I have no idea.
First of all, I don't want to take too much time on this because we don't need to get that granular. Thanks, Allison. I would encourage you to listen to the beginning of the podcast when it's posted, because we did talk about your wedding for a couple of minutes. Love you, Queen. So Trae Young gets traded from the Hawks to the Wizards for basically literally nothing, right? basically literally
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Plays like some, but like not a lot. Not particularly great. He's fine. And then this offseason, they like got into a bidding war against themselves. They actually didn't tell. They have two cap negotiators, and they actually didn't assign the contract to either of them, so they both thought they had it. And they were like, "Man, somebody's really bidding this bidding war up. I wonder who this mystery team is." And it was just themselves. No, but in all seriousness, like they dramatically overpaid
Insane over
Trae Young. Then you look over at Ja Morant, right, who is available for different reasons, but also is traded for literally nothing. And then that like is going to be a much better value for the Blazers. Like the Trae Young contract blows my gourd because it's like I didn't understand the urgency to do it.
No.
It's not like a sunk cost fallacy. I think they let the name talk themselves into like
Absolutely,
a sunk cost fallacy, but they really had nothing. They traded nothing for Trae Young.
Yeah, and they had zero competition.
And then you have the number one pick, or you trade for Trae Young, you trade for Anthony Davis, then you draft the number one pick, and now theoretically, when you would want to acquire talent during his rookie contract, you're like going to be at the apron because you're paying Trae Young a lot of money to be just an absolute liability on the defensive end of the floor and not enough to carry you. So I don't know. I was more like, I was so optimistic briefly for the Wizards because you have the number one pick and you're like, it seems like you're trying to win, but then they're just always on some fuck shit. So Wizards, you're on fraud watch once more.
Couldn't be me given.
Also, I think it's crazy that they didn't time a rebrand
this
year.
Like, I don't understand it.
Heinous jerseys. Positive takeout, if I may.
No, your time's up.
I have IMAX laser tickets to see the movie of my lifetime, The Odyssey, next Thursday. If you've listened to this pod, you've heard me bring up Sinners almost every podcast. It's kind of like in the Jordan Poole pantheon. It gets mentioned every time. But this time in positively. And Sinners is my favorite movie. But you could not, in a lab, design a movie more for me than Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. I am obsessed with The Odyssey. I took multiple classes in high school and college on Greek mythology and mythology in general. I own multiple copies of Edith Hamilton's seminal mythology book. And also Chrissy Nolan has never missed a day in his life, no matter the shot. Like that man could stand on his roof and unzip his pants and he'd still pee in his own toilet. Like he cannot miss. So I cannot wait to see this movie. It's got every A-list actor you could possibly think of. Mommy with the accent on the I, Anne Hathaway is in this movie. Zendaya is there, kind of, I'm sure, because that's not a large role in The Odyssey, but it's going to be so good.
It's going to be insane.
And I can't think of the last movie I saw in IMAX, but this one I was like, I have to.
You have to.
I have to see it in IMAX.
I can't remember.
Unfortunately, will not be seeing it with my wife because she is otherwise occupied, but I will happily see it with her when she returns from her work trip.
I'm trying to think. I think ironically the last time I sat in an IMAX theater, because I've been doing the Dolby Cinema the last several years, I think the last movie I saw in IMAX was Interstellar. And ironically another Christopher Nolan
movie to see in IMAX.
Here's my thing. My favorite movie of all time is probably a tie between Across the Spider-Verse and Back to the Future. I think Interstellar is the greatest movie ever made. I think Interstellar is the greatest movie ever made for so many reasons, just technically, storyline-wise, just cinematic-wise, music, everything about it is perfect. It's just it is a perfect film. And as someone who loves going to see movies, I think I have to give that one its due process flowers. It's in my top 5 favorite movies ever. Favorite and best are different things. You have your reasons why things are
right.
Yeah. But like you said, Nolan doesn't miss. He doesn't miss, and I don't think anyone else could make this film. Truly.
Yeah, agree, 100%. And like, he shot on location for like a year and a half. Like, oh my god, it's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be insane.
And I'm almost scared of how excited I am about it. No, Marshy Standard Bearer BW, we're not interested in AI viewers, but thanks for your statistic of watching the podcast.
Thanks for the engagement.
I'm almost nervous of how excited I am for this movie, but it's gonna be. I just like am ready, even if it hurts, if I'm disappointed. Like I just don't.
You're going to.
I feel like it's foolproof. Like I just can't find a way that I'm gonna not enjoy it, and I just don't see a world in which it's bad. So,
I guess I do technically have one more takeout. I got some healing tattoos from the last week that I know you've seen, but got my Yoshi tattoo up here from the baseball era, and then I also got this little old style radio one here, which is actually in reference to a song from this album that's back here, the album Clancy by 21 Pilots. Very happy to say that I will be seeing them in October.
Nice.
Because
my wife Debbie Ryan
will do. My wife is a wonderful wife and helped me get tickets to the hometown show at the Horseshoe at Ohio State. So that is that's where they're from. Those tickets have been going for a pretty penny, and we got a really good deal on them for about $110 a piece. So very excited to see them. I haven't seen them since before they signed their first record deal, and got them tattooed on me now. Very important artist to me. We're excited.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. Coming back under 2 hours too. Look at us.
I think the no commercial break helps us.
It helps so much.
Because we lose steam, and we're like, all right, we gotta get through this.
We gotta go. Alrighty, well, we're gonna be back here more regular now that life is starting to stabilize a bit, and if Ben is still together within the next week or so, before the release of the Odyssey, we will have another episode for you coming up. We won't
be recording next Thursday. I can promise you that.
Yes, we will not be, but we'll figure out a time to get together, and we got to figure out how to get our stream going for college football, because the folks need to see what's going on, and they need to see us on the sticks.
Need is a strong word, but would enjoy probably.
It is a necessity at this point. They need to see us on the sticks playing against each other. Whether we're doing a combined stream or concurrent streams on two different accounts, we'll make it happen. But
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Thanks for always as always for tuning in, y'all. Ben, you got anything else for the good of the cause?
I feel like I did, and I don't remember what. It was just something to look out for, but I don't honestly, man. I just talked about the Odyssey, but we got a lot of great movies coming up this summer.
I'm excited. We got our movie pass back, so we could go see it.
Odyssey, Spider-Man's coming, which I think actually we'll talk about Spider-Man maybe next week. I think actually will be good. I would encourage anyone watching this that is interested in the X-Men at all. And X-Men 97 is back, and the first 4 episodes of the second season are out now. I haven't seen the new one from yesterday, but the first 3 were fire. Very good. So I would encourage that on Disney Plus.
Alrighty, that's all for the Spillin It Podcast. For Ben, I am Jesse. Go Norway and Erling Haaland, and we will catch you on the flip side. Right.